MC?
Yeah, John, I wanted to get back a little bit to your 7 summits. How did you come about to want to do this in particular? I mean, there's a lot of ways to be the face of a cause and to raise money. What made you focus on this in particular?
When I was a kid, I was probably too much information. I was sick a lot, and I read everything I could get my hands on, and our library, for whatever reason, had a lot of books on Sir Edmund Hillary, and I've always been infatuated with Mount Everest, and I always had a desire to climb Mount Everest. And when I started looking into it, because it was always been a goal of mine to do that, or at least attempt it. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm certainly going to try. I realized I've got to climb a lot more summits first, and I met a lady named Annabella Bond, who had climbed the 7 summits and did it for charity. And then when I started working with the Bermuda kids, I started realizing this would be a great way to raise money and awareness. We tell our kids every kid's got a mountain to climb, and we try to lead by example with these young men. And they see me out training all the time. They've seen me losing weight and know that it's a tough thing that I'm trying to do, and I'm doing it for them. And I think they appreciate that, but that's how the entire evolution of this process came about. And I'm going to do this over a 2-year period, so I plan on a 2-year media blitz, talking about kids at risk, talking about using sport for positive social change, like we've done, and kids graduating school. And so it kind of fit together, just kind of came in together fortuitously because of the association with Annabella Bond and the fact that this is one of the greatest things I can do to raise money. I've got a decent following in social media. I've got a TV show I do for Fox. I'm going to do a lot more things coming up, and I thought this is a way I can raise awareness about this, go out there and try to climb all these mountains, and hopefully raise a ton of money for these kids.
No, that's great. You're doing it for a great cause, and there's nothing more admirable than that. Now, jumping back to WWE for just a moment, we were trying to figure out, which we were just discussing your matches. There's a lot of our favorites that we have because you have been in hundreds and hundreds of matches. Of all the matches, either with Simmons or on your own, which is your favorite?
That people ask me that all the time, and that's tough for me. I had some really memorable matches. I don't know if they were good or not, but they were certainly memorable to me. The first I Quit match with Cena, I thought was a really good match. I had told a lot of people that Cena could really go, and I'm not sure people really believed me. And I wanted to show that he could, and I think that was one of the first times that you had seen him step up like that, a real hardcore type match, and perform to that level. That was really cool for me. Some of the matches I had with Eddie, the first bloodbath I had with Eddie, the match I had with Undertaker at No Mercy, to me was probably the best wrestling match I had in my career, obviously because of who I wrestled with. But there's been a few, and those 3 were probably certainly top on the list. Certainly had some fun matches, and I think some pretty good matches with Ron. I tell you, we've worked with Kane and X-Pac a million times, and that was one of the best big man, little man teams that we ever worked with. X-Pac was so good. He was just, everything he did was perfect. Then you tag the big guy Kane in. It was just a perfect dynamic to tell a story. Those matches were so easy for us. So there's been a bunch, and it's tough to narrow it down.
John, going back to your main event run, now we have Paul Heyman back in the WWE, and people are still talking about the jab he took at you at One Night Stand 2005. How did you respond to him bashing your rise to the top, especially considering how successful you were?
I thought it was great. I love Paul. I thought it was fantastic. Paulie is one of the best guys ever in the history of the business on the microphone. And we were sitting there throwing jabs at each other, and he got me pretty good. And I saw him afterwards, and he laughed, and I said, Paulie, that was great. And he said, I was saving that one just for you. So I thought it was great. It's stuff like that. When you're jousting with somebody who's really good, you have an admiration when they're able to get one out there on you pretty good. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. That ECW event was one of the best things I ever did. I never saw ECW much because I was in Texas and it came on at a late time, and I was always traveling, so I never did see it much. But to see that live and to see the passion of those fans, that was really cool. I had such a good time that night, and being able to joust back and forth with Paul Heyman, who is a good friend of mine. I love Paul, and it was a lot of fun.
Mikhail?
Yeah, John, I know that you also have a mind for business. You've written a book on money management, and being on the inside of the WWE and seeing it, and being that it's been so successful for so long where other companies have kind of come and gone, what has been, in your opinion, the key to having WWE sustain for as long as it has and being the top player in the game?
I think two things. I think long-term planning, and I think the production quality of the company. I think long-term planning, I got the privilege of being with Vince McMahon when somebody was discussing something with him, and the gentleman told him, said, hey, I'm talking long-term. This is 6 months, a year out. And Vince cut him off immediately and said, that's short-term to me. He said, that's not considered long-term at all. Vince has always had a long-term plan, and Kevin Dunn has been, I think, probably the best production guy in the history of television. If he's not, he's certainly close. They've been able to take moving parts and replace them with other moving parts. And between Kevin and Vince and all those surrounding them, those guys get the main attention, but all those surrounding them, they have a great long-term vision of the company. And a lot of companies today on Wall Street and everywhere don't have that vision of how are we going to look 10 years from now? How are we going to look 20 years from now? And that's one thing that those guys at WWE have been really good at, and that's having a vision of long-term sustainability.
John, with your training for the 7 Summits, have you considered making a part-time return to WWE?
No. People ask me all the time, will you ever go back to WWE? I don't know. I have been back. I went back and inducted Ron, and I went back and did a deal with Stone Cold about a year ago or whenever it was. They've asked me a couple other times, and literally my schedule couldn't do it. I would have done the things they asked me if I could have. So I'm not against going back. I don't think they're against me coming back, but they haven't asked for me to come back, and I haven't offered. And it's not a matter of any animosity. I have a great relationship with them. I talk with those guys frequently. So I don't know to answer your question, but no, I'm training for the mountains. I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm trying to get my old fat self up a mountain to get back in the ring. I don't have any plans on that. And if you see me in the ring in 2 months, I certainly don't plan on that, and don't play this interview back and say he was lying about it. I'm not lying about it. There's absolutely zero plans, but you never know. I had a great time with WWE. I don't plan on getting in the ring again, but if they ask me to come back and do something, and again, I don't want this on the internet saying JBL said he'd come back. It hasn't been asked, but if they asked me to do something, I would probably, if I could, do it.
And John, you mentioned training for this. I know we touched a little bit on it earlier, but can you get through the difference, like what you're doing to train for this summit, as opposed to the sort of training you did for all those years in the WWE?
Yeah, I'm training the summit for Elbrus, not Everest, but Elbrus. It's in the Russian Caucasus. It's my first mountain between the Caspian and the Black Sea. Summit day is 12 hours. And that's a long time to be climbing a mountain just a long time to be on your feet. So I'm doing a lot of endurance training. I'll do a stair stepper for 2 hours in the morning, and I'll do with a backpack for anywhere from 3 to 5 hours in the afternoon. So I'm doing a lot of walking and climbing and carrying a backpack just to get my body used, because I'm 45 years old. I've had a ton of injuries, and my body, when I first started, was not tough enough to do this. And I'm hoping, I've got 6 weeks right now, that by then my body will be. I think right now I could probably make it Elbrus. I'm not sure because I have no baseline. I don't know what kind of shape I need to be in. So I'm following instructions of Mountain Madness. They're my guides for all 7 summits. And they've told me what I need to do to be in shape. And it's just a lot of long, hard, boring work carrying a backpack around Bermuda.
Yeah, and listen, it's for a great cause. Why don't you tell the people out there how they can get involved, how they can help out, how they can donate money, and all that stuff, and when they can expect your big announcement, too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 7summitsforkids.com. You can go on 7summitsforkids.com. You can go in there and donate money. 100% of the money is going to help at-risk kids. And I do have an announcement. I wish this show was next week because I could make it. And I don't want to tease like it's some big announcement. I see on the internet all the time people tease big announcements, and you hear them and you go, is that all they're talking about? So I don't want to overhype this thing. I just can't say it yet. So I have an announcement that you're probably going to hear within the next few days. And again, I don't want to overhype it, but 7summitsforkids.com, that's how you can go on and show your support and or go on the Twitter and Facebook and follow me and retweet what we're doing for these kids.
So tell them how to find you on Facebook and Twitter. Tell them your addresses.
Sure. Facebook is John Layfield. It's the public page with the Briscoe Brothers T-shirt, which I've worn on all over the world in honor of Jerry Briscoe. And it's also half a rib with my Oklahoman friend that I wear his Briscoe Brothers T-shirt everywhere. And also on Twitter at JC Layfield. JC Layfield. It's my initials. People ask me all the time. I thought it was JB Layfield, but it's JC Layfield is my proper name.
Nice. Well, listen, we really appreciate you giving us the time, man. We really appreciate what you're doing for those kids.
Hey, well, thank you, guys. I glad to be on your show. It was an honor to do so.
Thank you very much. Welcome back anytime, my friend.
You guys have a great day.